It's kind of an interesting area here. You see on the right as we're stuck in traffic as we're coming up on Colorado Boulevard. And that's when we'll get to where everything starts here. It is a little traffic-y, partly because it's the end of the day and partly because it's rush hour. So it always is a little busy here because we're also where the entrance to the freeway is. But the big grandstand over here on the right side, you see the symbols for all these various channels that will be airing the parade. Their signs are up there, and the big main grandstand where they do the talking for the announcements for the parade, that's all up there as well. And as we come past here, you see the TV cameras are already starting to get set up. The crews are doing their wiring here, and that'll all change. What I also find a little entertaining on a lot of these steps, I just saw someone running up and down on one of them because they're doing the beginnings of their workout, because this time of year we have all these great steps for doing stair-step workouts. But see, the guy's got the big camera cranes there, and this is all kind of cool. So you see the signs here for NBC, and the local one, KTLA, has always done the national broadcast as well. HGTV does one. There's a whole bunch of different places. So all the way along here, you see there's TV setup crews there, ESPN and ABC right there. So those are all along the top end of the parade, and this is kind of the key part there. You might recognize the Norton Simon Museum, and you'll see that in a lot of shots as you make your way down. And then once you hit Colorado Boulevard here, this continues on for miles, and you'll see all of this stuff going on. There's the Rusnak auto dealerships here, all the high-end stuff, Bentleys, Porsches. Anyway, as I drive along, we're now actually crossing over the 210 freeway, and they've got a lot of grandstands along here. And one of the things, of course, that is a little tricky with the whole parade being, a multi-day thing, even though it's only a few hours on New Year's Day morning, it does cause a lot of congestion and change around the routes around here, because not only are a lot of the grandstands and things pushing out into the streets in some spots, but also the side streets around us, Union to the north and Green to the south, have the world of porta potties all over. So, there's going to be 1 million people here, so there's a lot of porta potties out there. So a lot of the overflow of the crowd areas are all on the adjacent streets rather than right on Colorado, because you don't want to have everybody hanging out, right next to the porta potties all night, because a lot of people do stay overnight. There's a lot of camping out the night before, and that was the cool thing to do when you're young, growing up around this area, is go and camp out. And people do it even if they're not, in high school anymore. But I don't. That's just not me. My camping in the regular world to me is, would mean room service would be late at the Awani. But for this, it's just it's kind of a cool thing. It's a lot of energy. Starts, late in the evening and continues on. You'll see some fireworks off in the distance from the Rose Bowl, especially if you get up into some of the parking structures that are raised up here. You'll be able to see a little bit of what's going on in the distance over there. They always have a big show over there. And of course, the Rose Bowl game will happen the next day on New Year's Day. I'm a little stuck here with the traffic, waiting for this car to go here. I'm going to just go across and get out of the street here so we're not blocking the road. Be a good citizen on the road here and not block up a major intersection. That would be a bad thing. So try not to hit the parking enforcement lady that's walking in the middle of the street here. Now, if you don't know Pasadena, this is the heart of Pasadena here. This is Old Town. And you'll see all kinds of different stores and restaurants. One of the reasons we actually moved to where we are is because this is just such a cool area around here. There's so much going on. We're actually just a little farther along here. We're in what's called the Playhouse district. And that's, we're a few blocks in the Pasadena Playhouse. So it's kind of the theater district. And the two areas kind of work together. They just flow into one another. And this is all walking distance for us, which is kind of a cool thing. So we don't ever really go looking for parking here. We just walk. Pretty much everything for the kind of higher end restaurants and things like that is all within a mile of where we live. So we're able to walk to it all, which is a nice thing. So where we are right now is an area where you'll see big crowds on the morning. This is more of the camping out spot. They don't have the grandstands right here because there's no place to put them. You'll see grandstands as we get a little farther interspersed throughout the parking lots next to buildings and basically any space that they can put a grandstand, they will try to shove it in there. And this is kind of the area here. This is the top end of Old Town, and we're about to hit where the Playhouse district is. And as we get out of Old Town, we start to have a little bit more open space, and you'll see more spots where they can put the grandstands in and things. And also, the other side to that is you have all the people who have smaller businesses around the area, and larger ones too, fencing off their lots and the fronts of their buildings. Like for example, over here on the left side, that's the large building there. You see it's fenced off all the way around the front, so the people aren't sitting around and basically crushing all of the plants and things. They aren't letting anybody into those areas right around it. They've got all that blocked off. And here we are coming up on where the mall area is, which is, and I say that because in the back of my mind, I know it's the Paseo Colorado now, but it used to be the mall here before they opened it up, and it's much nicer than it was in the old days in the mall, but it's still, in my mind, still the old mall from 40 years ago. And then you'll see here's this ADA viewing area, which is good to have. So you've got spots to have a little bit more accessibility, which is always important. There's a round of porta potties that's on the main street. And around here, now we're into the areas where it gets a little more full of crowds. Grandstands shoved into the space everywhere. Up to the right there, we just passed one at the entrance to the Paseo there. And you'll see all these little alcoves blocked off, like fencing over here on the right, where they're blocking off so that people can't block the parking lots to the mall. When you live here is the things that you would normally expect to be able to drive into and pull into will kind of get shut off just for a couple of days. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those things that you deal with to live in the cool spot that has the most viewed parade of New Year's Day anywhere. It's just a fun, energetic thing to be around. We actually watch it every year, just the family, but we go into my office, which is right just off of Lake and Colorado. So we can actually see down below and look at the parade going down below, which is nice because it's warmer than it would be down on the parade route itself, and we have a coffee machine. So that makes the morning a little easier to deal with because it's early, and if you want to have a decent spot to just sit and watch the parade, you pretty much want to get there, I would say, around 6 o'clock in the morning or so. It's harder as the day goes on. And of course, you could buy grandstand seats. The thought of doing that when you live a couple blocks away seems kind of silly, and we forgot to go into they have a lottery system for everybody who lives right around, because we're all impacted by the parking restrictions. So you can get a certain amount of tickets and things like that locally, but we didn't because we forgot. We forgot to go to the happy meeting and for the lottery for who gets the good seats for these things. And you still have to buy them. It's just a lottery for being able to purchase in the convenience seats. But over here to the right, you'll see a little sign that says Pasadena Playhouse. That's so if you turn over on Molino, you're there. And by the way, the Pasadena Playhouse, for anyone who doesn't know, and why should you, if you don't live in Pasadena, but it is the State Theater of California. It's the oldest existing theater in California that still plays, and it's been going on forever, and it is a phenomenal venue to see theater. Big house. If you like theater, it's a great place, and it's a name theater. You get Broadway performers and everybody else around here, which is one of the things that's cool about living in this particular area here. Pasadena is kind of has a definite cultural appreciation. There's not just the big theaters, but there's also small theaters here, and some mid-sized houses like a Noise Within at the other end of town. There's a lot going on with it, and then it's got a huge restaurant scene that is one of the reasons we liked it so much, is because there are so many terrific restaurants here. Sadly, a lot of them did not survive. We moved here right before the pandemic started, and one of the reasons we moved into the spot where we did is so that we could walk to all the restaurants and that we like hanging out here. And of course, half of them went out of business by the time the pandemic was over. So that's a little bit of a sadness. But anyway, we're staying positive here. I'm going to drive along. You see, they've still got, like, all the way along the building on the right. It's all covered up with fences so that people aren't squeezing in there. And in that little gap between the building sections there, they've squeezed in some scaffolding, and we'll have seats for sale there. And then if you are trying to get a sort of sense of bearings here, this is Lake Avenue, and we're at the corner of, and Lake is the kind of high-end shopping and additional restaurants and things that all goes off to the right here off of Colorado. And if you were watching, was it last year or the year before, where they all of a sudden had the big protest? Yeah, big protest yesterday. They shut down this whole corner here with the Palestinian protest thing related to what's going on in Gaza. And we were watching it from our window because our office, you can't quite see it right now, but I'll turn it a little. That big gray building right there, it looks down on everything. Whoops. Got a little messy there. Yeah, that big gray building there, that's where our office is. So we're looking down on all this area. And here we go again. Now, as we move through here, it's kind of interesting. If you consider the front end of the parade, the Old Town, all the rest of it is at the more crowded and busier area. And if you want an easier spot to get to, you come a little down this way, past Lake, and the area between Lake and Sierra Madre. Now, the only thing about this is it's a 5-mile parade. So by the time you're getting to, say Pasadena City College, like Hill Street and Allen and those, some of the people in the parade are getting a little more tired, and you suddenly see a lot more of the floats being pulled by tow trucks because their engines have given out or something, and it's always a little entertaining. It's actually they have so many tow trucks that they basically do a tow truck parade following at the end. So as you watch, you don't get to see it on TV, I don't think, that much, but if you're here right after the parade's final, passing, all the way, there'll be like 30 tow trucks because they have so many just in case they're needed. And so they were all following along and honking, and everybody gets a kick out of it because it's like the flotilla of tow trucks. So this area here, as we are now, I'd say half a mile past Lake, you're definitely a lot easier to get into somewhere just to hang out and sit. This is years ago when we would just want to walk over and see the place. We would usually sneak into these areas late because it's not so crowded. And as I was saying, every little parking lot they can get rights to, you'll see the scaffolding put up there, and the nice little places to sit and relax and pay a large amount of money to sit and watch a parade in the cold. Not that I don't enjoy a good parade, but it's cold. More scaffolding over here, and then we pass through the area by Pasadena City College here. Excellent school, by the way, if you're looking for a really good community college with super high transfer rates to USC and UCLA. Very good school. And all along the front of PCC here, you've got more and more risers and scaffolding and seats that people can sit in for the grandstands. And that's going to continue all the way along until we get towards the end. And at the end, we'll show you where the floats will be on display afterwards, so you have an idea of where to come and how to get to all that stuff if you're coming up after the parade. But anyway, you can watch the parade on TV in the warmth of your home, and then go see the floats afterwards to see what they look like up close, which is the lazy man's way of doing it. And when it comes to getting up early and sitting in the cold, I probably fit in that category. But that, I'll admit that. As you can see over on the left, where all these little, the small restaurants are, and they've got scaffolding and fencing up in front of all of them so that people aren't pushing into the windows and things, so that they have a little bit of control of their space and they don't want anything getting broken. It's like anything else. Pasadena is a decent-sized city, and because of that, you get a certain amount of, I'd say, let's just flat out say, crime issues that happen related to that. And you're going to end up with a little bit of vandalism and things like that going on as well. There's always some stuff, but it's a safe parade to come to. You've never seen so many police officers, and with the support of the sheriffs as well. So you get a lot of law enforcement here to keep everything safe. So certainly nothing to be concerned about. If this is when you think about the big crowd events that you want to go to today, it's pretty tough to beat the Rose Parade. They took an amazing thing. The whole Terminal Rose Association, the city of Pasadena, do an amazing job of keeping all this stuff going every year and keeping everyone both safe and happy and making it a major festive thing for all. This area here, not a whole lot of major business that's going to get in the way of things. So it's pretty easy to find a spot where you can just find a view. So down here, we're getting towards, we passed Allen at the far end of Pasadena City College. and Hill Street and those. We're now far enough along that you're getting a pretty sparse crowd by this time, because at this point you are getting a more tired end of the parade, so the locals tend to go more towards the energetic part of the front. And also there's just less stuff around here. This is not the tourist end of Pasadena in general, but it works well if you just want to see the parade go by. But you will see some tired people by the time you get out to this end. Definitely going to have some tired drummers and marchers and various entertainers along the way, because you can only keep the energy up so long. Now here's Sierra Madre Boulevard, and this is where the parade makes its other turn, and we're going to go the way they go, which is off to the left here. And this is just, the quieter end of Pasadena. It's just normal suburbia. So you don't get quite as much of a crowd on this end. So it's a little easier. But people will still honk, like that guy. Anyway, I am turning onto Sierra Madre Boulevard here. And you can see people are already starting to get heavy into the traffic around this area. And that's going to continue all the way through the entire Rose Parade period, because now we're at the time where people are being like me and doing the goofy stuff of just driving along and talking that they may not actually be posting it up on their channel. So it goes along here, and you can, this is also part of the parade route. So you don't have to be on Colorado. You can actually be here on the route all the way along on Sierra Madre. And like I said, people are getting a little more tired, and the energy may drop a little, but this is a lot less crowded out here, so you can really see everything nicely. And it just goes along until you get towards Villa Street, which is just up here. And once you get to that, you'll get up to the area where Float Fest will be. And at that point, we will, basically everyone's just going to relax, kick back, and be happy that they made it along the 5 miles of parade route. And of course, the obligatory porta potties over there to the right. We come towards the end of the route, and that's going to be, of course, why people will need all those porta potties, because they will have just marched for 5 miles. And this is the end. This is where Villa is, and the street there, and we are kind of at this is where the whole Float Fest section will start. So you'll have the floats will all be on display here. It goes on for a couple of miles, and you can come and view them after everything is done. And I hope that gave you a little bit of a feel for the areas where the parade is. I'm going to skip around these cars here, and we'll see how much of it we can actually get to. We've already got the sides closed off here and they're squeezing everything down, because this is where they're already preparing everything for the fest thing. I hope that you will have a wonderful new year. And if you'd like to know any bit more about Pasadena, we will post up a couple of videos here where you can get a feel for the area of all around Pasadena. So if you're not from here, would you ever considered, hey, maybe that might be a cool place to live if we move to California or from another part of California? We'll have that on a link here at the end. And Happy New Year, everybody. Hey, look, a Float Fest sign.